For all you new viewers, apparently there's been about 120 in the last 4 weeks or 5 weeks. Welcome to the Awake and Brave channel. This is my garden, and this is where I spend a lot of time throughout the whole of the summer. Nobody ever comes in here, save for the maintenance man who's just been in today with his sit-on lawnmower mowing my lawn. And it's a very, very soft, beautiful lawn, and I sunbathe here, I do yoga, and I drink beer, and I read my books, and I meditate, and I make videos. And my apartment is just over the wall there. And this church, there's a little old lady opens it up for one service once a week for about an hour and a half, and there's a couple of blue rinse little old ladies that come in for a cup of tea and a biscuit. That's the extent to it, people. So she's seen me here on one occasion, and on another occasion I went in and I had a word with her when the service was about to begin. And I had a word with her and the organist, and of course they were devout Christians, and they was as daft as brushes, and they didn't know anything about anything. Oh, good God, people. Anyway, this video I'm going to be speaking about consciousness, and how lots of people these days, I say lots of people, well, in my feed I listen to people like, there's one guy I listen to who's called Morg Official, and he's this pale looking guy with long white hair, and his channel's brilliant, and I've watched, I don't know, 30, 50 of his videos, and I've never found anything he's ever said to be rubbish, because he's an intellectual, he's a scholar, he studies, he writes his own books. One day I'll buy at least one of his books, but he reads ancient scriptures and other people's books that are written on these subject matters, and he's very articulate. He doesn't edit his videos, he just talks. He's a proper blow, you know, he turns the camera on because he's a mind of information, and he just articulates himself in a very, very good way. So Morg Official, if you want to know about who the real Jesus was, and what the Archons were, and the Nephilim, and all that different sort of esoteric stuff. Let me just show you the church, just in case you ain't seen it before. Can't really see it very well with the sun glaring, but it's a beautiful old church. And this energy here is free of human energy. There's been nobody buried here for 150 years at least. Nobody has a reason to come in here except the maintenance guy, and I never get disturbed. And so because I live over there and I'm the only person that uses this, well, I've claimed it. You know, and you see, nobody could ever tell me I couldn't do it. What could they say? You can't come in here and sit on that grass. And I'm like, I'm praying to God. What jurisdiction have you got? What can they say? If they say, well, I mean, if you want to pray to God, you need to come inside. I'm like, we only open fucking half an hour a week. I'll pray to God every fucking day. Look, you know me, I get my own way. And if they call the police and the police came out, well, what did the police say? Oh, well, this land belongs to the Church of England. So really, you need an official letter and a reason to come from the Church of England to state why you are not allowed to be in here. Such a thing doesn't exist, people. So therefore, that's why I'm telling you that this is mine. It's mine for as long as I want it to be. You know, lots of people, you can't get your heads around me, can you? You know, you wonder where my audacity comes from. But my audacity comes from a vast amount of knowledge, global travel, investigation in all different sorts of things, and a very high intellect which just looks at things rationally. And I just ask myself, well, what preventative measure could anybody bring about to prevent me? Now, some of you guys, you'll know that I used to do this in the graveyard, which is just over the wall there. In the graveyard, you get people walking their dogs, and there's been occasions, there's about 3 or 4, where I was verbally abused by people because I'd lie on the grass or on the bench just with my swim shorts on, and I'd be getting a tan, I'd be reading my philosophy, and I'd be making videos or doing yoga, and I'd be enjoying myself. And some people, how dare you? That's disgusting. And they'd call the police, and they'd tell the police that there's a naked man in the graveyard. So the police would come out. The police came out 3 times. And one of the times the police went away thanking me for enlightening them. Can you imagine? But the other 2 occasions, they said, oh, we've been called out because, you know, they said that there's a man that's mental or this and the other. And I said, well, you all make your evaluation, you know, whether that's the case or not. And they go, well, you know, it's not really the sort of thing that people do. And I said, well, more people should do it then. And they go, well, I mean, there's a park over there. Why don't you go and do it in the park? That way people won't complain. Because it's kind of like, well, you know, this is for graves. And I said, look, there's only law against me doing this. And they go, no. I said, the council tried to extricate me from here as well. But they've got no jurisdiction at all either. They just don't like it because they've got this silly thing that it's like sacred ground, it's respected ground, you're not respecting the dead. I'm like, how do you respect the dead? I ask some questions like this. How do you respect the dead? And if there's a person that comes in, visiting the grave of a dead person, and they think that I'm not respecting the dead, I'll go, well, that's a physical impossibility. Maybe it's a spiritual thing that I could look into, but from what I've heard from the Bible, then all these spirits and spooks, they're no longer here. They've gone there or there, right? So who do you want me to respect? Do you want me to respect you? Do you want me to respect your idea of whatever you think is correct? Well, if I had to bow down to every Tom and Dick and Harry who demanded that I respect their thoughts, well, we'd never do anything, would we? And I said to the police, I said, look, people have an objection for me sunbathing as well as reading or doing what I'm doing. Well, if this country was a Muslim country, they would cut my hands off, probably my head. For doing that, for revealing my flesh in a sacred ground. Oh, goodness me, they'd have my head on a spike, wouldn't they? I said to them, thank goodness we're not in one of those countries. Thank goodness we're in a country which isn't that stupid. And the level of mentality mostly will afford people like me to have a little bit of freedom. I say the reason why I don't go over into the park is because people walk their dogs there. Throughout the years, every single square inch of that grass has been shit on, and it's had dog shit fucking trud into it. And even if people pick their dog shit up these days, they're never fucking for fucking years. And even that residue, you see, people, it is said that you can get a disease which makes you go blind from dog feces, from parks like that. That's why you've got these little fences around these play areas on the park to keep dogs from going in them, you see. Protection for the kids. They don't protect the whole fucking grass. The mother's supposed to be, you know, looking out for them to do that. But when these kids are playing in these playgrounds, you know, climbing and this, that and the other, well, they're falling on the floor with their hands in, you know, the ground, and then, you know, maybe they're eating sweets and this, that and the other, so they do it because of that. So I said, look, that's why that happens. And if you look into, you know, the disease thing, it's the thing. And I ain't walking around barefoot over in that park. I'm doing it here because there is a bylaw here which says that everybody must have to keep their dogs on a lead, and so they keep them to the path. So that's why I'm here. Are you understanding the rationale to this? And they go, oh yeah, well, I get you, but it's just that. They always give it just there. And anyway, they go away, and they end up thanking me for a civil exchange and this, that, and the other. But here I don't get that. Nobody calls because nobody comes in. So, speaking about consciousness, right? This morning when I'm going to the gym, I'm walking down the road, and I think that the thing about my consciousness, it's a little bit like that film Lucy, where that woman, she has some drugs stitched into her stomach by some, triad gang, and it bursts. And this substance permeates her body and starts to turn her into the singularity, or the cosmos, all these sort of things. So she becomes more and more perceptive, and she can see all the details and what everything consists of. And if you remember, if you've seen the movie, it's like the Matrix. They see it in binary, green ones and zeros. You always get these flowing green ones and zeros, don't you? When anybody's ever trying to depict this absorption of information, what people can perceive. It's an idea of showing that people can have this X-ray vision and they can see into everything. Now then, when I'm walking down the street, I've got X-ray vision, people, with many things, and because I've worked in the building, I know what you have to do to build huge bridges, huge shopping precincts, laying all the pipes, all the sewers, and this, that, and the other. I know that through and through because I've worked in it for many years. So when I walk down the street and I look at houses, I know exactly how houses are built with all the materials that you use. I know what's under the ground with all the pipes, the water feed and the sewerage and the electricity and all that. And so when I'm walking down the road, I've also worked building roads, so I know all the layers of the road and all the sewage and the drainage be below them. So what my eyes are like, they're like Lucy's, and I see beyond the surface. My mind's like an archaeologist's. I know what's down there. And when I look at a house, I don't just see four walls and some windows. I see the entire structure and all of the materials that it's made from the digging of the footings, because that's what I used to do. Go onto an open piece of land with a JCB, dig out the footings, lay the concrete slab, put the water pipes in and all that stuff. I was around building, doing groundwork and all different sorts of other work while all the other roofers and everything came in, so I know exactly what goes on. So therefore my consciousness can see into all that. Now, because I've also worked in the motor trade and worked on engines and cars, I know how cars work, and I know the rudimentaries of the combustion engine and the driving and all this sort of thing. I know how things work in a mechanical way. So therefore I don't just see shiny tin cans on four wheels driving down the road. No, I see a certain facet of the science. I know what's going on, with the pistons and the spark. If it's a petrol engine, if it's not a petrol engine, it doesn't have a spark. It's just done on pressure. The combustion of the diesel fuel, it combusts under pressure, people, whereas a petrol engine, it combusts under a spark coming from a magneto. Anyway, all these sorts, if you don't need to know. But I see into that, and then buildings like this. I've been in hundreds and hundreds of these old buildings, and I've looked very carefully at how they were built. at all the Masonic work, and then I look inside at all the religious iconography, and I've got a very, very keen eye for everything, so I know these places through and through. So when I look at a church, I know these places in the finest of detail, and whenever I'm anywhere, I always look at everything in the finest of details. And those of you that have been with me for a long time, you'll know that everywhere I go, I'm always pointing out the fine details. So when we do that, our consciousness expands. And if you can imagine, you do that every single day of your life, on top of reading and learning from other people on videos and talking to people and this that, and the other, learning. Then you take entheogens, and your consciousness expands, and you meditate, and goodness me, well, my mind now is like Lucy's mind. I see an enormous amount of things that the vast majority of people don't see. That's why I'm so astute, and that's why I can keep talking endlessly, because there's an enormous amount of knowledge within here. And so when I was thinking about the underground things, I came upon a gentleman who was walking his fucking like boxer dog thing. And he's got a long beard like me, looks like a biker, and I started talking to him about his dog and that, and we're chatting, and so I came upon him, and we're walking in the same direction, and I started to talk about a few of these things. I started to talk about his dog, and you know, why the dog is this and that, and what's it doing. And he said, oh goodness me, everywhere he goes he's chewing on this, he's sniffing that. And I said, yeah, because look, he's building his world. He's building his world from his olfaction and his vision, and so that's his world. And I said, can you imagine what his world's like in comparison to ours when we deploy different tools? And so everywhere he goes, it's a scent of another dog, male or female, and feces and this, that and the other. And he just started to chew randomly on a bramble, a dead bramble with the thorns all in it. And I'm like, why is he doing that? He does it to everything. Yeah, because he's tasting, you see. So he's got his olfaction, he's got his tasting, tastes everything, and then he's got his vision. So he's got his three senses going on there. And dogs, you know, probably got, you know, a sixth sense like we have. And so I start to say, well, look, yeah, you know, when we look at different creatures, they have a different perception, so they live actually in a different world. And I'm saying it doesn't stop there, you know, because many people these days are speaking about the very, very, very different levels of consciousness which the human beings have. The different levels of perception, the different levels of cognition, the different levels of awareness, the different levels of intelligence. These variances are vast, but very, very few people will really think about them unless they are presented with somebody saying something like, Elon Musk is genius. And then they don't even know, they probably wouldn't even know what genius meant, because they've never fucking Googled it, they've never looked in the dictionary. They just think, well, it means someone's good and they're better than us. And they wouldn't know what it is to be a genius, because they're not genius themselves. And you know, but people like me, you know, I've been looking into all this stuff for a long time, and I'm always very intrigued into how people are so-called geniuses. What is it that's different about their minds, about their spirit, about their consciousness that varies from the vast majority of the people? And nobody can account for it, because when you've got people like Michelangelo, when he's asked how does he go about carving these incredible figures without making a single mistake, he goes, well, because the figure is already in there, and all I'm doing is just chipping off the excess. So in his brilliant brain, the cosmos has downloaded this perfect figure in every single dimension, regarding every single millimeter. Because when you see these statues with their hands and their hair and all the curls in the hair and the beard, everything is so minutely manicured, it's genius beyond comprehension. But these people don't know how they do it. They can't say, well, I've learning from this sculpture, learning from that. No, most of this stuff is genius. It's a gift from the cosmos. When we get painters, Rembrandt and fucking let's just say who is a phenomenal one, like Caravaggio, Michelangelo. When they use the light, you see, Rembrandt used the light, and so did Caravaggio. They're called Michelangelo Caravaggio because that's where it came from, that part of Italy. So you've got two different names, you see, but they used the light. Whereas in the old days, when you look at paintings, albeit they could look very, very real and lifelike, they never utilised the light. There was never any shadow. They never even thought of that. And so you look at the transition, well, why didn't they think of that? At what period of human consciousness did the utilisation of light come about with people like Michelangelo and Rembrandt and the like? So when you know that stuff, all of a sudden it colours your world, people. And so when you do look at a Michelangelo painting like I have in Malta, in a church in Malta, like a 12 foot by 8 foot Michelangelo depiction of the decapitation of John the Baptist. You look at that, and I just stood in front of that for half an hour solid with tears streaming down my eyes, because I couldn't actually comprehend what was going on there, but I knew it was magic. I knew it was genius. I knew it was cosmic consciousness, and it was speaking to me. So I knew that at least I could have awareness of that genius. At least I could feel it emotionally. Why did it make me cry? Why was I just streaming with tears and transfixed? And then I walked around to see other paintings in comparison. They didn't move me at all. I had to keep coming back to that one, and that experience stayed with me for the rest of my life. It will never leave me. It was an amazing experience whereby I'd realised that there's something about me which was vastly different to everybody else. People were walking by, reading from something, oh, Michelangelo, that's all they were doing. They weren't even pausing for fucking 20 seconds. They just... all they were doing is reading, oh, that's Michelangelo. And then they could tell people, oh, I saw Michelangelo. What painting did you see? Oh, I don't know what painting it was, but it's a Michelangelo painting. I saw it in the flesh. And that's all people want to fucking do. I've seen cunts time after time after time after time after time at zoos, right? And all they're doing is the phone. And they come across this animal, phone. They make sure they've got it, then they fuck off, phone. Make sure they've got it, then they fuck off. And I said to this girl on one occasion, what are you doing? She said, oh, I'm just taking photos of all the animals. And she went, and I said, why are you doing that? And she went, well, I'm sending them to people. I'm going to post them on my Facebook. And I'm like, why? Well, I suppose, just to say that, you know, I've been here and I saw these animals. And I said, have you really seen them? And she just looked at me and she's starting to get scared. I said, stop 1 minute, please, bear with me. And this particular time she was taking photos of a giraffe. Now, we was high up and the giraffes could come up to the balcony and take food like apples and things like that. So, you know, this was in Lanzarote in the Canary Islands. And it's beautiful because we could have an interaction with the animals. Not like in Britain, you can't get fucking near them. And so she was looking and taking a photo of the giraffe. And I said, okay, so do you know what any of these animals actually look like? And she went, oh, that's a good question. Well, the giraffe, okay, so it's tall, it's got a long neck, and it's got patchy fur. I said, anything else? Not really. I said, what about its little horns? What about its fucking long, ivory-like yellow fucking teeth? What about its big fucking eyelashes? What about its black eyes? Have you touched oh yeah, I touched it. Oh, it's really smooth, it's like velvet. Yeah, what about the patterning on it? Have you looked at that? Have you examined that? People don't do it. People don't do it. They're just clicking, they're going somewhere, they think they've been there, people. They think they've seen something. They think they've experienced something. They've experienced nothing. They have actually experienced nothing at all. And if you ask them, draw that giraffe, well, fuck me, he'd get 4 gangly legs on a long fucking neck, and it'd be completely devoid of any details because they've never looked. My videos always consist of me filming things. And some of you may remember way back when I was in the zoo and different places around the world, and I'm filming these animals, and I'm filming a zebra, I'm filming a rhinoceros, and I'm filming a fucking emu, and all these things. And I'm saying, look at this, look at that. Have you ever recognised this? What do you think about that? For instance, the fur on a zebra. How did nature come up with that? Such a beautiful stripy pattern, and how, you know, it's just so symmetrical and it's wonderful around all the different intricacies of its body. And you ask, why is that? And then people can say, well, it's for camouflage, of course. Why? Who said that? Some twat once said it. Some twat once said it. Some twat once wrote it in a book. I would say, have you ever been to the African plains? Have you ever seen any black and white shit on the African plains? And they go, well, I've never been, but I don't remember seeing any. Why haven't you seen any? I don't know, because there isn't anything there like that. So the giraffe isn't fucking camouflaged into black and white shit, because the African plains are just fucking mostly barren, but fucking yellow, dry tundra. And that's what they eat from. So it's not camouflaged against that, because they stand out like a sore fucking thumb. And every time a lion walks by at about 10 miles away, they go, there's a fucking zebra over there. The sea is clear as fucking day. If nature wanted to fucking camouflage it, then it would have fucking give it some yellow fucking fur. You know, the same colour as the grass, for fuck's sake. But they don't. So when, you know, that's not an explanation. It's just not an explanation, people. And people have been talking shit for fucking ever about everything. And so you can't believe a single thing because nothing's got any fucking rational sense to it. Now, when you look at a cheetah has got these spots all over it, right? They hang around on trees and they hang around in the tundra. And you could say, oh, they've got that camouflage. Well, the fucking camouflage, just like the zebra, it's not fucking camouflaged for anything. It doesn't fit in. You see it as clear as fucking day. When they're hanging up in a fucking tree trunk like that, well, it's not camouflaged. You go, well, there's a fucking cheetah up there. And so it's nonsense, isn't it? It's just all these quirky things that nature does in its weird and wonderful way. But the dumbass human being has just tried to label everything in its pig ignorance and in its haughtiness because it likes to consider that it knows things. Oh, that's a giraffe, and that's this, and that's why this is, and that's why that is. But the fact of it is, people, we haven't got a fucking clue about anything. It's a fucking clue. So, back to consciousness again. If we want to expand our consciousness, then we have to experience, because it's experience that expands our consciousness. But it's not only experience. Experience alone will not do it. You've probably all known friends that go on holiday, maybe sometimes to exotic places, and they come back and you go, so, fucking hell, how was your holiday? Oh, it's fucking alright. Where's the fucking shit? The food was shit, the bed was hard, I got fucking stomachache, I did, and her indoors, yeah, she forgot her fags, and they never had the fucking brand of fags, and so she was in the arse all fucking week, all this stuff. Would they ever say what it smelled like? Would they ever take what the air tasted like? Would they ever say how they felt about that particular culture? Would they ever say that I found this interesting thing or saw this interesting animal? No, 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 forever. Nobody has ever told me that. And so, what the fuck's going on? Fucking idiots. Drones, people. Drones. Unconscious drones. So when you realise that the vast majority of the human being is an unconscious drone, you stop fucking looking, really, and you give up questioning, because you just don't ever get anything. You get nothing. You just get dead motherfuckers for the vast majority of time. I mean, there are some thinking people, there's some perceptive people, but not a lot. Proportionately, the numbers are very, very small. So then I'm walking up the path and I'm walking about the bushes and the trees, and If you've never looked into what bushes or trees are, if you don't know what this tree is or what that tree is, whether it's different from this tree, different from that tree, whether it's a female tree, whether it's a male tree, what the buds look like, what the leaves look like, what their catkins look like, all this sort of stuff. If you've never looked at that, you don't know nothing, do you? And most people don't. They don't know nothing about the flora and fauna about them, and they walk through this life thinking they know something. They know nothing. They are in actual fact like aliens. They're aliens which don't know a single damn thing about anything in front of their eyes. Isn't that pathetic? Isn't that ridiculous? What the fuck are we doing here? What the fuck are most of these idiots doing here if they haven't come to this beautiful planet to experience and gather data? You see, people, you have to step outside of the ego. You have to step outside of your slavery. If you do those two things, you'll be within half a chance of learning something. You will never ever learn anything of any magnitude or meaning when you're engaged in slavery. When someone's telling you that you need to do this and you need to do that, the vast majority of things you need to be doing are absolutely fucking pointless. They're just, it's like people ask you to put one piece of a jigsaw puzzle in 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, right? That's all your job is, whether you're answering the phone, hello, fucking quantum computing company, or whatever it is. Bullshit, 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 bullshit. How many people have got imaginative jobs? How many people, you know, are fucking technicians and you're employed for your genius to sit down to design things, this, that and the other? I've never met anyone, so they're very far and few between. But let's just say most people are just putting a one tiny little piece of a jigsaw puzzle in the puzzle. They're not even doing that. They're not even putting it in the puzzle. It's not like they're putting the last piece in the puzzle, then they see all the picture of the puzzle in its glory. No, they are just placing a small piece of this jigsaw puzzle on a blank fucking board. So they don't even know the picture they're building. Just let's say that you're working in an office and you're responsible for this, or you're selling that, or you're buying this, or this, that and the other. That's your tiny little world. You don't know the full spectrum of what this is all about. It's like people that work in Asia. They have their little businesses where they're making little metal things or little plastic things. They put them in a bag and then they fucking send them off to somebody who buys them, and then they send them off to the manufacturing company, the assembly line, and then it ends up in a fucking Sanusi wash machine. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know where it's going. They just have this equipment which have been lent to mold this fucking plastic, and then that's all they have to do. So that's where it ends. So they are putting a jigsaw puzzle on a blank board. But what I'm saying to you people is, by the time you've learnt a lot of things about this life, you have put so many pieces of the jigsaw puzzle down that you have a good insight to what actually the picture is. You don't see everything, because we can never see everything. There's always going to be gaps in the jigsaw puzzle. But by the time you've opened your mind and you've opened your heart and you've travelled and you've set your intention to learn things, you put all these jigsaw puzzles from all different sorts of walks of life, all different varieties of learning, things like that. You keep an open mind about everything, you keep interested in everything, and you put these pieces down, and then the picture gets more and more vivid, and then you start to realise what you're building. Well, that's where I am now. I've built this picture of the cosmos and of what I am. From looking into the science, looking into the biology, looking into the physics, looking into the psychology, looking into the philosophy, looking into the so-called material facets of the world, inspecting every fucking thing about me and questioning. So when you are like that, you are like Lucy, with this vast expanse of consciousness and perception. So then you become somewhat of a polymath. A polymath is someone that knows a lot of things about a lot of subjects. And so if you are broad in your experience, and your interests, then you are much more broader in your consciousness than someone that has a degree or PhD in physics, and in their lab they are just trying to discover this or just trying to discover that. That's all they're ever looking at. They're just having a look at this. Ooh, this one particle is really interesting, and we want to discover this one particle is doing this or doing that. All right, it may ultimately be a big deal, but as far as you're concerned, you just know about this one particle. You don't know the full picture because you spend all your life just looking down the fucking microscope at that one person, one pixel or fucking particle. So, you know, this is why I'm speaking like I'm speaking. And when I ask you guys, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And invariably, you don't say anything, do you? Don't say anything. And if you do say something, then it's not really of any interest. It's not like an inquiry. It's not like, yeah, that's a good fucking, you know, what you said there is about that. That's very interesting. That's got me thinking. I'm going to be thinking more about that. That's what I want to hear. I want to be thinking. I want to be hearing what you're thinking. I don't want to hear what you think you know. Oh, I know this and I know that. This and the other. All right, okay. So that's kind of like, all right. So you can tell me that. At least you fucking think you know something. But what I want to hear is a level of investigation, a level of inquiry, because there's always more. We can't ever just go, I know this and I know that and I know that. That's what the vast majority of the idiots do. Oh, that's just a tree and that's just a church and this is just grass. Really? Really? You've got no fucking idea what this is. No fucking idea. If you're going to have any idea of what this is, you have to engage yourself with so many different subject matter. If you want to know what that fucking church is, instead of just a word and just a picture, well, you need to know exactly how it's built, the science behind it, the engineering behind it, the masonry behind it, the ideas behind it, what were they trying to achieve with the shape of it and the interior and this, that and the other, all the materials used, where did they come from, you know, what properties, why did they choose these particular properties. You need to know all of that stuff. And then of course you need to know about the religion which pertains to it, because the religion is the governance over it which stipulates how it should be. Because if you read the Old Testament, then it said that God was very fucking emphatic about how even the tabernacles should be erected, let alone the houses of God. You can read stuff in the Old Testament about the sizes and the dimensions, and this was so many cubits and that was so many cubits and this was made out of this fucking that, and everything is very precise. And so that's then carried forward and projected onto something. And when these religious people approach engineers, builders, masons, and this and the other, architects, they say, look, it needs to be like this. We want it like this. And then the architects will go, well, yeah, you can have it a little bit like that, but the science is depicting that it's got to be like this. Also, you know, that what you're saying is an idea which doesn't work in the real world. In science, structurally, you see. So you've got to include the engineering into it. You've got to include the stress and this and the other. So that's what technical drawers do. They draw something like this, and then they'll pass it on to the engineers. And then the engineers will look at the structural properties which is required, what the concrete needs to be, what the steel infrastructure needs to be, and all this different sort of stuff. It's science. Everything's science, people. You know. And even in the old days, when they were building these cathedrals, you know, they worked out certain things about it. You know, the human being, they started to build like arches like that before they could build arches like that, and then before they could build real fucking big bridges like that, and all these different sorts of stuff. You know, the all trial and error and the engineering and the science that goes into this stuff is fucking remarkable. because we have to discover how the world works, how the cosmos works, how gravity works, how do these materials affect or are affected under gravity. Gravity is this invisible fucking thing that can cause catastrophe, you know, at the fucking blink of an eye. And so you have to be very, very respectful for gravity. And you've got to work out all the fucking science and the engineering pertaining to whatever materials you're using, relating to the weight of them and the size and the volume and all these different sorts of things, you know. So anyway, you know, in relation to the expansion of consciousness, it's been broad in our thinking, it's been open in our perception, and I suppose in lots of respects it's being gifted, because if we're not gifted we can't create this stuff. You know, I'm always telling you that I'm gifted this ability. I'm gifted to be able to pull all this stuff, because what I'm doing is I've laid all these jigsaw puzzles, and so I'm pulling all these fucking jigsaw puzzles because I've put them together and I've built pictures, and I go, well, this fits with that and that fits with that and that fits with that, and then that builds that picture. But these individually, they don't mean anything. So if you've got a picture like this, it's kind of, what the fuck? And you're looking at it, has it got sky, has it got ocean, has it got a building, what's it got? And then you're looking for what it relates to, and then you put it next to something, you know, before you actually place it, you put it next, you go, oh, that's fucking sky, so I'm going to put that up there in the sky, some of, and then, like, you know, I'm going to be able to see more clearly where that's going to go. That's what we do, don't we? We start putting things in certain little allocated areas, and then eventually we narrow those areas down until it manifests in a certain something. Wow, the sun feels good. The sun feels good, people. I watch the sun rise and fall every single day of my life. I'm very, very vigilant and conscious of the sun, whatever level it's at, whatever time of year. And when it's high in the sky over you, you know it's at its zenith, right? And you know it's going to start going back down from that point forward. So it's a joy to watch it come up to the zenith. But when it's at its zenith, you know it's all fucking downhill from there on, albeit you've got a few months, because it goes down nice and slowly. Well, you know, that's the beauty of the seasons, I suppose. But if you live in a country which is closer to the equator, and you don't have this, you know, seasonal thing, you don't have the sun lower in the northern hemisphere during the winter time, because you're on the equator, and so it's always there, exactly the same. It never changes, you know. And I've lived on the equator in Africa, and I've experienced that, as well as you know, northern and southern. I lived in Australia for a whole year, so I saw what it was like down there. I saw the star configurations on the other side of the earth, all different sorts of things, people. Anyway, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to absorb, and I'm going to have a meditation, because it's so still. It's as quiet as it's ever going to get in suburbia, and it's warm. It's beautiful. And over there, there's a squirrel crying out its mating call, which flies in the face of every fucking thing you'll learn on the internet, on YouTube, because they all tell you, they mate between January and February, and then they'll mate May and June. Well, I've seen the fuckers trying to mate now. They're going through all their fucking dancing and fucking signalling and everything, they're mating now. So, again, people, everything that you think you're fucking learning on the internet, be exceedingly skeptical. And at my time of life now, I don't believe a single thing. I don't believe anything. I don't even believe my own fucking senses. I've learnt too much. And that's the thing. Like Nietzsche says, when you stare into the abyss will stare back at you. This is the abyss, people. There is nothing here that's real. There's nothing that will stand up to scrutiny, because every time you look deeper, 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 in the end, it will just slip through your fingers and disappear. That's what the so-called physical matter does. Everything is just an idea. Everything just pertains to concepts and language. Take the concepts and the language away, you've just got ideas. And if you chill the fuck out and just go into a meditation, even the ideas disappear. And then you're back to the fundamental premise and basis of the cosmos. That's, motherfuckers, what you are.